screaming. You're going to do that for you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jude Meyers, Superintendent of Gallia County Local Schools. I'd like to welcome everybody to our second year rendition of School Pride countywide. Again, I'm Superintendent Jude Meyers, and I'm very privileged to have three gentlemen with me today, which I'm going to introduce shortly. But as I always like to do, I want to thank the University of Rio Grande for this opportunity to be here today, to open up their TV studio and for us to tell our story. So thank you to Dr. Catherine Clark and her administration, and obviously the TV crew here at Rio and everybody that makes this possible. Gallia County Local Schools we're very proud of. It's a very unique and diverse school system. We have many programs that spread out between our 7 buildings. I like to always say we value kids in our district. We value the arts. We value athletics. We value the band. We value the choir. We value rigor. And we encourage participation. And probably one of the things we're very proud of is the fact that at Gallia County Local Schools, we do not have participation fees for our kids to participate in activities. And so we're very proud of that. We think that participation in those activities is important to a well-rounded education. And then as we do, we try to surround our kids with the best people possible, whether it be coaches, advisors, teachers, to lead them and help them on their life's journey. So I'm very privileged today to have three gentlemen with me, three gentlemen that I enjoy spending time with, some that I've gotten to know real well and some that I'm getting to know really well. And not only would I call them colleagues, but I would call them friends as well. And what I want them to do is I think they all have interesting paths into education that are much different, but I think the work and effort that has brought them to where they are today is very interesting. And I just want them to know how much I appreciate what they do. I know their jobs are challenging, sometimes not very thankful. And today I want to showcase what it's like to be an athletic director. Many of them have administrative responsibilities as well. A day in the life of. And so I'm going to start with Richard Stevens. I met Richard soon after I got to Gallia County Local Schools. We became friends very quickly. We both have a passion for basketball and many things, even though we're kind of divided along battle lines when it comes to our sports teams. But we clicked right away, and I have a lot of respect in Richard and his leadership, and he has an interesting path into education. So Richard, if you could kind of share your journey in and what has brought you to where you're at today.
Currently I'm the assistant principal and athletic director at River Valley High School. About 15 years after I graduated from River Valley, I finally made it home. I graduated in '97. Went to undergrad at Ohio State University. I got a degree in agricultural education, and I became an ag teacher at Alexander Local Schools. I then became the head basketball coach and ag teacher at Southern High School in Meigs County. And then I got out of education for about 5 years. Well, I got out of public education and went into adult education with Ohio State University Extension Service in Gallia County. Where I helped lead the Ag and Natural Resource programming for that. At that point, I finally got my opportunity to come home. I came back and coached at River Valley High School for a year. Taught at River Valley Middle School as well. And then when the opportunity arose to go into administration, I jumped at that opportunity. I completed my master's degree in administration at Ohio University in 2006. So it was pretty neat for me to be able to apply my degree in administration and also my love of athletics in the role that I have now.
The next gentleman to my right is Kent Wolf, and we have probably more of a similar track than some of the other ones. Again, our love of basketball. It's interesting, his story. He actually at one point crossed paths with my alma mater back in his playing days and things. But Ken has been in the administrative field, the coaching field, the athletic field, and again, getting to know Kent and very detail-oriented and works well with people and is a bulldog and probably what impressed me the most, and he'll talk a little bit about it, is this gentleman took the time to work the Gallia County Local Fair this summer because South Gallia, you know, we struggled to make athletic budget means, you know, work, and he opened up a concessions at the fair and generated revenue. He spent his entire week working out at the fair to make money on behalf of the South Gallia Athletic Department. And if you know Fair Week, it's a busy week, it's hot, sometimes thankful, but if you want to question anybody's work ethic, this is not a gentleman to question because he works his rear end off and is very much appreciated. So we hired Kent as a basketball coach, and it didn't take us long to expand his duties as he came into the district. And again, somebody I'm getting to know on a daily basis and somebody I have a lot of respect for. So if you want to tell a little bit about yourself.
Sure, Mr. Myers. I graduated from Southern High School. I had the privilege of going to school right here at Rio Grande when they were called the Redmen back in the day, and played basketball and baseball here all 4 years. I got my principal certification from Ohio University and my superintendent certification from Ashland. I'm in my 33rd year of education. I've started out at Waverly High School. I took my first head coaching basketball job at New Knoxville High School, which is in Northwest Ohio, close to St. Mary's, Wapakoneta area. Then after that, I became the boys' head coach at Logan Elm High School and was there for 10 years. And then in Westfall for 9, and that's where I began my principalship there at Westfall Middle School. Then I went back home, back to Southern for 9 years. Got the opportunity to spend some time with my mom and dad, came back. Lost my dad in the last 3 years, so I miss him very, very much. Then I wanted to be back into head coaching again, so I was blessed to have South Gallia give me that dream again and go back and coach the boys basketball program, and starting last spring took over the athletic department. So 33 years of education, a lot of coaching, a lot of things, and 19 years of that as being principal.
Excellent, and does a fine job, if I may say so myself. Last but not least is Paul Nance. I didn't know Paul when I got here. Paul was in the classroom, and many of you know Mr. Dave Moore, who retired as the principal at River Valley Middle School. When Mr. Dave Moore retired, we elevated Mr. Ed Moore to the principalship, which left us an opening for the assistant principal athletic director. We interviewed multiple candidates. Paul, I think at the time, threw his name in the hat just maybe for experience, but over the process of the interview, it was pretty evident to myself and Mr. Moore and others that he was the man for the job. Again, a young man that, he's younger than me, but a young man that I spent a lot of time with. We have a lot of common interests and things, and I enjoy spending time with Paul. Both work-related, non-work-related, but somebody that has a coaching background, understands athletics, is a very hard worker, and gives his time to the school. And again, I want to have Paul talk a little bit about himself and his journey to where he's at today.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Well, I'm a 1987 graduate of Piketon High School. Go Red Streaks. I came to the University of Rio Grande as an 18-year-old freshman, and I really fell in love with Gallia County. You know, I've been here almost 30 years now. I was a 1992 graduate of the University of Rio Grande, and like I say, it was the Redmen back then, so I'll say go Redmen / Red Storm. I like that. After about 16 years of teaching, I had a principal come to me, Mark Carlisle, and say, you know what, Mr. Nance, I think you'd make a pretty good administrator. So I went over to OU and I took my administrative master's there. You know, now I've been doing the AD assistant principal job for about 6 years now. As I was a teacher, I coached volleyball for 21 years, and I coached basketball for 16 years. So I've got the sports background, and I enjoy what I do. You know, I love being able to walk around and talk to the kids and not be held down by a classroom. So instead of me having you know, a classroom full of kids, now I've got 383 kids that I get to hang out with all day. So that's my track, and like I say, I'm really glad to be. I've been with Gallia County Local for this is my 26th year now. So.
Well, one of the interesting questions that always comes up is, what do those guys do? What's a typical day look like? And I guess, you know, probably at the high school level, and I'll start with Richard, but what does a typical day look like? And you probably laugh when I say typical because no day is ever the same, but talk about a football Friday, and then for Kent, maybe a basketball Friday. But what's that look like to you, and what's your typical day, and what time do you start, what time do you end, and what do you do during the day?
If it's a home football Friday game, the day starts about 6:30 in the morning. Get to school, you do your normal school type, my assistant principal duties, get students to class, those types of things, and then you have to start prepping for Friday night. You've got to coordinate with the opposing school's administration, making sure you've got parking spaces for enough buses, what time they're going to arrive. You've got officials that you have to make sure that they're confirmed and you have their needs met. You have your myriad of workers. I'm very, very blessed. I have a great group of volunteers that surround me every Friday, well, all my athletic events, but particularly on Friday nights when we have a home football game. There's a lot of different duties that are required of people. Somebody has to do it, and I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by just some of the best that just pitch in and donate their time for our young people. You've got gate money to make sure it's ready and counted, tickets, and then last but not least, you've got to set the facilities up. It's more than just setting the field. You've got parking spaces to block off. You've got safety concerns that you need to double check. The press box needs to be cleaned and ready and open. The lights have to be checked. The scoreboards have to be checked. The concession stand, make sure that the concessionaires, our booster program, to make sure they don't need anything done at the concession stand. So normally by 3:30, I've got everything as ready as I can have it. Normally I'll go off campus. My parents live close to our high school, so I'll usually go to my parents' house for about an hour and hang out with mom and dad for a little bit, and then I'm back to campus by 4:30. Do a last-minute check on all my systems. Gates open at 5:30. We kick off at 7:30. Everybody thinks, well, once the game's over, I'm done, and that's just not the case. We're usually there until between 11 and 12. Get everything locked up, shut down, money counted, money deposited into the bank. So it's a pretty long day. And, you know, God forbid there's a wrench thrown into that plan because then it can get a little hectic and a little stressful.
And during that time, you're responsible for officials, making sure that all their accommodations are taken care of, they're being paid, boosters, making sure that you have enough change at the ticket booth that, you know, that can honor the people coming in that are paying for admission and things like that. Like I said, there's a lot more to that, but the majority is the planning that goes into it prior to. Kent, your schedule's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a tad bit different, yeah.
So what would be a typical day for you? And I know this is kind of going to be your first journey in, you know, especially when it comes to basketball season.
Right.
But what was your typical Friday look like? And again, I know there's no typical days.
Well, my day starts at 5:30 in the morning. I make sure I'm there at 5:30 at school every day, just because I have to teach a little bit of school. I have 3 classes I have to teach. I teach 7th and 8th grade math, along with 7th grade social studies. So I really have to get there a little bit early to get ready for the kids. I'll do lesson planning and all that for that time. So I really don't get started till 10-ish in that area. But there's a lot of things that Richard's already brought up, but I know one thing he did not bring up that I, as a rookie athletic director, painting the football field. He did not bring that up, and I will tell you that is a treat. The first time I did that, I am not a young buck anymore, okay? And the day after that, I could barely roll myself out of bed, picking up stenciling the field, lining the field. And Mike Bostic at South Gallia does a tremendous job at that. But I do what he tells me to do, and it's a good 4, 5, 6 hour, and it's like tomorrow. It's paint the field time for me, and it's get the old paint shoes out. So I change out of my teaching stuff right into my paint gear, and I'm out there almost the whole afternoon. So
we're blessed because Mr. Nance and I we paint River Valley's field as a team, because the junior high plays on our field as well as the high school. But we've had it a year under our belt, so we kind of got our stuff down. So I feel bad for you, because I know last year was a struggle for us.
I didn't know that was in my job description.
Mr. Wolf called me and said, "Wait a minute. I thought, I'm a basketball coach, I thought the lines were already painted."
Exactly. And then, but Mr. Bostic does a great job. And, what I think, hey, that looks great. He goes, "Oh, no, we got to repaint that." I don't like that word too much, repaint. But I'm very busy this weekend. We have a young man that's going to the regionals in cross country, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Saturday, I'm also blessed to have a stepdaughter that's also was able to qualify from Southern. So we will be up there Saturday morning to watch those races. Garrett runs at 11. And my stepdaughter runs at 1:30, and I'm right back here. So for the ball game on Saturday. So
you didn't mention where you're coming from.
I'm coming from Pickerington down to South Gallia. That's why Friday I've got to get everything prepared, field markers out, be ready for when the Raiders come on Saturday. So it's the basketball season. It's making sure your officials are taken care of. And we've been back in the old days. It used to be that you had to go get your officials. We're blessed. I think it's a plus that we have Arbiter who gets you the officials. You just have to make sure that they're there. So you always got to call in advance and make sure that. And I'm sure Richard does this too, but I just got done with a big stack of winter sports trip tickets. So you're responsible for the trip tickets. You got to make sure that bus driver is there, and the kids are there and on the way, and anything that doesn't work out like that, you'll get your phone call. So far, I've been perfect at that so far through the fall sports. So.
Well, see, I have my bus license, so that's next on the athletic director's agenda.
Painting the field, number one. Driving a school bus.
Bus, yes, sir.
So when you talk about that, Mr. Nance is at the opposite end, because with 7th graders, this is their first experience on going on athletic field trips and things. So talk about your day and how you get those younger kids acclimated into the world of athletics.
Well, I would probably start out on Monday. Monday morning, I always call all my referees, all my bus drivers for the whole week. That way I know for a fact they're set for the week. And then I'll always give them a courtesy call later in the week also, just to say, hey, don't forget, we've got you going to ref in the game. It is really tough to get, especially, we don't have any rink-a-dink volleyball. We do have midget league football. So volleyball girls, that is their, being a former coach of volleyball, that's their first experience with volleyball. Now, a lot of other schools do have feeder programs for younger kids. So, it's kind of hard also, that's the parents' first time dealing with, pretty much competitive sports as far as, in the rinky-dink and in the midget league, everybody gets to play. Well, it gets to the point where some parents do get a little bit irate as far as playing time. So you almost have to break in the students as well as the parents when it comes to that. Typical day would be, let's see, I show up about 6:45. I love bus duty in the fall and the spring, but bus duty in the winter is pretty rough. So I'm always out there on bus duty. It's very important, I think, to greet the kids as they come in. And I'm always like, hey, Monday, and on Wednesday, hey, on Wednesday, I say, hey, it's Wednesday, happy Wednesday. So the kids always love the fact that we're out there greeting them as they walk in the door. So that's a big deal. Then I'll do my duties as far as walking through. I'll collect my behavior improvement plans for anyone who's gotten in trouble the next day. And then I kind of block my day off based on what's going on that day. If we've got a game, it's a lot of game prep. As soon as gym classes are over, I'll run in and I'll go ahead and get the gym set up. You know, for volleyball, if it's a football game, normally Thursday. Thursday is our normal day to paint the field, and I'll kind of agree with Kent here. You know, I got a pair of shoes that have definitely seen better days than these guys even.
We've
even
all got
Richard.
our paint shoes.
Yeah. Well, my son's like, you need to get rid of those shoes because they're stinking up the utility room there. So eventually I need to throw those shoes out. But so then, you know, we get towards the end of the day, and it's you know, game time. It's time to get things ready. So I'll go down, and I will thank Richard's managers because they normally will set the pylons and the yard markers up. Basically, all I got to do is unlock all the doors, make sure everything's ready, get the press box ready for our announcer and our scorekeeper, and then I'll go home and, you know, rest for a couple minutes. Back by 4:30. Ready to start taking ticks at 5 o'clock. Game starts at 6, and then I get to relax and watch the game for the most part. So, and he's right after that. You know, our games start at 6, so we're done about 8. By 9:30, I'm normally home on game nights. So whether it be volleyball or football. So that's kind of a typical day for me, especially when we're talking about sports.
And I know as we're winding down, we have about 7.5 minutes left in our broadcast. I wanted you guys to talk a little bit about the programs and the opportunities our kids have. So Richard, if you're a student at River Valley High School, what opportunities do they have within the athletic department?
We have 14 varsity sports that we offer at River Valley High School. We have girls golf, boys and girls cross country, football and volleyball. Those are all in the fall. Our winter sports include boys and girls basketball, wrestling, and boys and girls swimming. And then in the spring, we offer baseball, softball, and boys and girls track. So it seems like every time of the year, there's a large group of our student body that is involved in extracurricular activities, and for myself, athletics, that we're sending. I think last I looked, I sent out 68 extra bus trips in the fall. So I'll be around the 200, 225 mark by the end of the school year. So sending out that amount of trips, our kids have a huge opportunity, and I want to thank the University of Rio Grande as well. They allow us to use their pool facilities to where our swim program is taken off by leaps and bounds. We actually have a Division I college swimmer right now on scholarship, swimming at the collegiate level. We also sent 2 swimmers this past year that will be swimming beginning this winter. So thank you to the University of Rio Grande for allowing us that opportunity. The rest of our sports are housed at the River Valley campus, except for golf, and I would like to thank Cliffside Golf Course for allowing us to use their facilities. But it seems like there's always something going on. There's always something available for our students. And we always tell our kids, you'll find your place. You'll find your place at River Valley High School. Some find it quicker than others, but there's something there for everybody.
And one thing you didn't mention is cheerleading, which falls under the umbrella of the athletic department as well.
Cheerleading and band. I work very closely with the band as well. So, you know, those 2 activities, definitely.
Kent, you want to talk a little bit about South Gallia? Of course, I also want to say it's unique that he is not only athletic director over high school athletics, but he is also athletic director over middle school athletics.
Well, ours is a little bit more watered down in River Valley, but we do have the football, volleyball, cross-country golf, and our cheerleaders for the fall and winter. We've got wrestling that now it's, I think, 3 years in now. And then boys and girls basketball, and then we have track and softball and baseball. What we want to try to do is we want to try to get everybody in our school involved. You know, we're averaging somewhere between 35, 40 kids graduation every year, and you know, there's this year we had 3 golfers. We want to upgrade that. We want to be able to take a group of kids and compete in the league is what we want to do. That we also we have like 3 or 4 cross country. We want to make sure that we're trying to come out and get those people that are not participating in extracurricular sports, get them involved, get them on a team. So you know, when we start talking here at the end of the year, I want to get them all together and express to them we want you to participate in about everything that you can possibly get here. I think we can do that. I think we can get our numbers up when it comes to all the athletics that we have here at South Gallia.
In fact, part of that is you even have some kids that may be interested in dual participation.
Yes, I encourage that. I don't know. We have just a few, but at our level, where we're at, you know, I believe we're probably one of the smallest schools in the TVC. And we need to get as many kids involved, and if we have to do dual sports, we will. And I'm a fan of that. But you have to have two coaches that work well with each other, because you're pulling on the athlete. So, but we just got to get more people involved in our school.
Absolutely. And Mr. Nance, not as much as Richard and Kent talked about, but you're breaking them in. So
that's right, getting them ready to move on to that level. At the middle school, we have, of course, football that both boys and girls can participate in. We've got a girl actually playing right now that actually is one of the best players on the team. So she likes putting the hits on the boys. We also have girls and boys cross country, and we have girls volleyball. Like I say, coaching volleyball for 21 years, I really have an affinity for my volleyball girls. Come wintertime, we have girls and boys basketball. We also have girls and boys wrestling that girls can also participate in the wrestling program. Come springtime, we've got track, and of course we will never, boys and girls track, and we'll never forget the cheerleaders, who also go through the fall with the football team, and then they go through the winter with the boys basketball team.
So as we wind this down to our last 2.5 minutes, we would be remiss by not speaking about what's happening this weekend. And from my understanding, maybe the first time that hasn't been a preseason type contest, but our two high schools are going to square off on the football field. So if you guys want to comment about that.
Well, it must be a rivalry, because Mr. Stevens didn't want to come over and paint our field for help. He didn't want to help me with the field and say I'm on my own. So it must be more pressure than I thought. But I hope this will be a very well played game. I know we right now are 3-6. And I know that River Valley, their competition level that they play is tremendous. That league is really good. And I know they're going to come in and they're going to play very, very well. There's a lot of other things to that, too. You know, you got Coach Peck, who used to be at South Gallia, and he's at River Valley. And it's what we want. I'm sure Richard and I will both attest to this. We want a well-played game with a lot of sportsmanship. That's what we want. We don't want that. I don't like to really call it a clash or a battle. I want it to be a hard-nosed game that is very, very competitive, and there's sportsmanship at the end. At least that's my thinking.
You know, I heard an interesting thing today from one of your players' parents. Chad Bostic, I believe he's a senior at South Gallia High School, great young man. Every coach he's had from the start of his football career until Saturday night, which will be his last football game, every coach he's had will be on that field Saturday night, in Coach Peck and Coach Peck's coaching staff that's now at River Valley, and his new coaching staff, Coach Smith, and even his youth coaches. They're all going to be on the field Saturday night. So I think that's a really cool thing that's going to happen for some of your players.
And we want everybody. You know, it's a Saturday night game. We did that because it should be the only game in town. We asked all Gallia County to come and watch two teams that are going to play their hearts out. And it should be a real good ball game. Plus, it's our home game, so we want as many people as possible to come. It helps my budget out a lot. So,
and I want to thank Seth Williamson, who created a traveling trophy for this game and this event. It's a nice trophy, probably nicer than the state championship trophy. But we want to thank him for putting that together. We're excited about the opportunity. We want to play the game hard, but we want to play it with class. So we're finally out of time. On behalf of Gallia County Local Schools, I'm Jude Meyers, Superintendent. For Richard Stevens, Paul Nance, and Kent Wolf, want to thank you for tuning in and hearing a little bit about our school system and a day in the life of our athletic administrators. Thank you.